beautiful.
Damn.
Why am I dancing to a heartbreak song? This is sinful.
It's that beat, man. It's a hard picture.
It is.
Picture goes
Who
hard.
took it? Who took it? That's my question. Oh my god, guys! No, they're gonna find out. Oh no, Dad! Come on!
So they're introducing some aspect of destiny and the inevitable. No more pigeons.
मैं आपसे कहने की
ठीक कहा था तुमने मैं ही पहचान नहीं पाया मेरे ही घर में घुसकर मेरे परिवार के बीच में मेरी इज्जत के साथ खिलवाड़ किया है तुमने कैसे सोच लिया कि तुम उसके साथ शादी करोगे अरे तुम तो खुद अपने काबिल नहीं हो तो सिमरन के काबिल कैसे
Dude, with those rings, you're gonna bust him up.
और बिगड़ते हैं
Oh my god!
बाबूजी ठीक कहते हैं
Damn. Because he hasn't had a character arc yet.
लिया कि मैं तुमसे शादी कर सकूं
He's gotten away with everything in life.
तो क्या हुआ अगर
He's had a very easy life.
की तरह प्यार करता है
Okay, SRK drama actor. Very good though. Very good.
प्यार सब कुछ तो नहीं होता ना बाबूजी ठीक कहते हैं सिमरन बाबूजी ठीक कहते हैं ये लीजिए बाबूजी
No.
He was planning on leaving regardless.
अगर आपको लगता है कि कुलजीत सिमरन को ज्यादा खुश रखेगा
No, he can't. He's a piece of shit.
He shot the pigeon. Remember the pigeon?
सिमरन का अच्छा बुरा आप सबसे बेहतर जानते हैं
Oh, but what a testament of his values, though. And what a great person.
मुझको माफ कर दीजिए
I'm crying again.
Oh, no. Guys, what the f?
Guys, come on. You said this was a good movie.
Chutki's pissed.
Everybody liked him.
She feels so betrayed, right?
And he has to face everybody that he lied to.
Correct. It's very nice moments.
The girls. What? Oh, okay, it's a callback. It is. Yeah, I was gonna say, how long is that train gonna...
मुझे जाने दीजिए बाबूजी प्लीज बाबूजी मुझे जाने दीजिए बाबूजी प्लीज बाबूजी मैं उसके बगैर नहीं रह सकती बाबूजी मुझे मेरे राज के पास जाने दीजिए बाबूजी प्लीज बाबूजी मुझे मेरे राज के प्लीज
Run!
इस लड़के से ज्यादा प्यार तुझे और कोई नहीं कर सकता
Thank you!
Yay! Run now, mate. Oh,
Ooh!
if you had time for a hair flick.
I love how the people on the window are just like, yeah, nice show.
Bro, I love this song. Oh, a little
Little recap.
Summary.
Yeah, because it happened so long ago.
Oh.
So we're not gonna see a wedding? Come fall in love. Divale duhania lejanga. Oh.
What? He didn't like that?
That's it?
What the?
What do you mean? We
Oh,
don't...
so maybe I didn't call it then.
That's 3 hours?
Yeah, dude. We've been sitting here for 3 hours and 12 minutes. I have a flat ass, bro.
Con razón, that makes sense. Okay, yes, that makes
Because
a
I
lot of
feel
sense.
like
'cause
we saw them in Europe 2 days ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So much happened. Honestly, okay. But where is the wedding? We spent the whole time in wedding preparations and we never got to see a wedding or a kiss. They never kissed.
Holy yeah. In terms of, I really think the highlight of this movie is immense involvement and willingness and commitment actually into making severely difficult music numbers in terms of just music, not the dance numbers, just music, and just truly committing fully to them. And I think actually a ton of their budget probably went into that, into the music
Definitely.
production of that. Because in terms of like production of the film, you did have 4 main locations, right? And they're international locations, so that's quite difficult and expensive. But you do have the later half of the movie, the last hour and a half is all in the state of Punjab, and it's all in the same house and in that big ass field. So in terms of set design and costs, they could have cut some costs there. The most expensive part of the movie, I think, is the first hour and a half. In terms of character development, I do like the fact that there is some consequence and you do get a finalized character arc for Raj, because he has a lot of depth and he has quite a multi-layered or multifaceted character. And he does, as a matter of fact, I wish we would have gotten deeper into the side of Waleska said. I think he hasn't dealt enough with difficulty in his life.
Yeah, he's had it easy.
And he seems to deal with difficult things through comedy. And obviously in this part he stopped running away from it. So I'll give it an absolute like really cathartic ending and I really like satisfying ending on his character. In terms of her character, she has the most complex sort of emotional roller coaster out of everyone, because it does seem that culturally they do put it quite blatant in that lens of, you know, she doesn't have the same rights, she doesn't seem to have the same choices as someone like Raj would have. She isn't the most wealthy, she isn't the most liberal, like she wasn't completely anglicized, she is fairly traditional, and she believes a lot in the values of her family, and she's willing to sacrifice her own values in order to simply prevail the traditional values of her family. Those types of themes and that type of complexity in plot, it's really refreshing to see. Of course, this is from the 90s. It's very different and dissimilar from modern cinema, where they will really shy away from topics like this, or they will become quite preachy and they will try to lecture me in everything and how I'm a dickhead and I should be ashamed of who I am.
Yeah.
In this case, it was more of a story of, it isn't just you should feel like a victim because you're a woman. It wasn't that. It was more like, these are the situations, both the cultural and societal situations that I've had to live through, and I hope that you don't have to live through that, but we live in a realistic world, right? So you might have to deal with it. And then there's another side of the story. It's like, but what about his side, right? He's not all anglicized, he's not a completely Westerner. He still has values, and he always reminds you of that he's Indian on the inside and Indian on the outside. He might live by different principles and he might be a bit more carefree than your traditional Indian values, but he will face the consequences because those are his true values. They both struggle in different manners. She was in completely emotional distress, and they made it quite obvious that, you know, men tend to resolve their conundrums in a very physical, and there's vastly more grave consequences. There was death on the line, right? And for her there was oppression on the line. So that's fantastic. Those are like two of the most difficult things of, like, I guess, the gender roles, and you're kind of having that discussion through a theatrical manner, in a cinematic lens. It was really quite cool as well to see the shift in the character of the father, that he is a man that's been hardened by the situations of his country. He's had to leave, build wealth somewhere else, build a family, but he still grasps towards those, he's quite patriotic toward his land, he still holds to those values dearly, but he's been hardened outside of India. He's become quite inflexible, but he forgets that he once was young, and that he once was a bird that could fly high. And he makes that kind of realization towards the end. You can't have a complete character arc of all the characters, because if not, we'll have a runtime of 8 hours. It's quite interesting because I'm actually quite impressed that this didn't turn into, like, I'm not sure if perhaps it's got pitched first as a series. I don't know if series or telenovelas, like what do you call it, teleseries,
yeah.
were popular in the 90s in India, but this has the plot to be something like that, and it has the depth towards that. So I wonder what the original ideas were. It could have just been a plot for a movie.
I think, again, given the fact that Bollywood in the 90s had a long-running time, and it had a lot of legacy in terms of...
Seem to have kept that, to be honest.
Yeah, in terms of coming out of the 50s, the 60s. By the 90s, Bollywood has a legacy of evergreen films that people cherished and held to their core very dearly. So having a movie that represented both what was happening in terms of leaving a country and adapting to a brand new country and then coming back to your motherland, I think it's a fairly modern take of Indian values. Again, this is all just based on what I've seen in the film, but I think it's really cool how the lack of the Punjab state in his London life affected so much of his daily choices and his behavior, and how it dictated his manner and his character in order to maintain some of those roots, some of that honor that he grew up with as a father, also taking that into the next generation that wouldn't have been exposed to any of that firsthand. So as a parent, there's a lot of responsibility of carrying forward the legacy of generations. And the fear of losing that is very strong. It's very strong. And I think all characters in this particular movie are beautifully complex. They're incredibly responsible. They all hold for their own personal responsibility in a manner that it's respectable. Like, there was a point where you don't know who the bad guy is.
Correct,
because
that's not
there's
life.
no bad
That's
guy.
that real life isn't like that.
Correct.
Real life is like that. There's a lot of nuance, and you don't know.
There's no bad guys because everybody was standing for their own morals.
Correct, and
were
they're
standing
operating on what they think is correct.
their own schemes of beliefs, and whether they were,
Rigid,
westernized
lenient,
or
westernized or
traditional, they all stood in a true belief. And from very good moral basis to what they wanted. And I think it's really cool that there were a lot of realism points throughout the whole film. Like, as soon as you get introduced to Simran's character, she is a dreamer. She's up there in the clouds, and the mother tells her, it's good to dream, but don't expect them to be a reality. I love that there are smacks of true life. There are spackles and speckles of real life that happens in ethnic households, whether it is an Indian household or a Latino household. A lot of these things are familiar to me.
There are a lot of similarities in that
They
sense.
are.
It's also quite cool as well because you have like an introduction to Indian humor, right?
Correct,
There's
it's
obviously
very
some
fun.
cultural differences. You're getting a bit of a sense as well on how forward SRK's character was, right, Raj? And you're getting as well, you're looking at their social dynamics through a cultural lens in a European setting, which is mind-boggling. That's
It
why
is
I
really-
thought those
it's really
scenes
tough.
in the church were quite cool, because that's like the pinnacle of a complete cultural exchange, right?
Correct.
In terms of music, again, I think it's probably one of the strongest musical pieces we have checked out, because these types of movies did end up shaping current Bollywood, and they ended up making all the whole remakes and stuff like that. It does make you wonder why the Indian cinema has not been able to recapture this type of magic, basing it on what people always say. Oh my god, this era is always the best, the evergreen era, we'll never have anything like this. I do wonder why the case is. Of course, we will perhaps come to a conclusion the more we review movies and the more we get involved in the Indian movie industry, but for the time being, I just become curious as of why people say that. It could simply be a nostalgia factor. It could simply be that we stand in the shoulder of giants, so we will always pay tribute. Perhaps that also has to do with cultural differences, in the sense that because in India, it seems paying tribute to your elders is a ginormous aspect of things. It could be part of that as well. Rather curious.
I think the musical score was absolutely phenomenal.
Yep.
It was an underlying heartbeat, another entity, a character
Another character.
standing on its own 2 feet throughout the whole film, since it begins until it ends, from the intro of the film into the last standing minutes of the film. It is such a beautiful, breathing, heartbeat energy through the whole movie. And the moments where music is lacking are shorter than the moments where music is always playing.
Correct.
Which I think is such a beautiful element. It allows for you to really get invested in the whole film. There's also the idea of having a rhythmical elements throughout most of the film.
Yeah.
Underlying, I think it was such a beautiful touch.
The soundtracks had 7 songs composed. All of the songs were composed by Jatin Pandit and Lalit Pandit.
Okay,
which I
these
think
guys are
brothers.
they Punjab?
They
Also,
might be. There was a ton of Punjabi music. in
also
here.
the whole idea of this being in the Punjab states and the
Well, everything
musical
had to
elements.
have Punjab flavor.
yeah.
Flavor, right? Yeah.
The rhythmicality was absolutely outstanding. It was so flavorful. It felt so welcoming at the same time.
Now I see why people say as well, like SRK, Udit Narayan is like SRK. voices,
Yeah.
like, some-
Again, what a beautiful cast for voices.
Yeah.
Incredible cast. I just think the majority of the songs were duets, and I think that is such a great touch. I think I understand now why a lot of the songs become generational favorites. I think they are timeless. They really are.
I really don't know what the I was reading, because I'm looking at the box office here, and then it says that on the first opening month,
Yes.
it did $24.6 million.
Wow!
And then
3 hours.
I don't
guys.
know what the budget actually is. Maybe I don't know what I was converting. I don't know what the budget was. If someone can, maybe we'll put the budget here. But yeah, it's grossed over something like $50 million, $60 million worldwide. It's one of the biggest Bollywood earners of all time.
Wait, it makes perfect sense to me.
And
it
it's
makes perfect sense.
It's fantastic as well. Like
It is 3 hours long though.
yeah, it's really interesting. I'd love to know.
I watched 3 movies.
I'd love to know some of the behind the scenes of that as well. And it would be really intriguing to have a sit down with someone like KAJOL or SRK and speak about this role. Because I genuinely think, especially SRK, I mean, obviously everyone would like that interview. But SRK would be quite intriguing, because that role was probably one of the most demanding roles we've seen in a good while in many actors. I mean, we don't only watch movies from, you know, the Indian cinema, but we watch movies from other stuff. An immensely complicated role, because it fools you into believing that it's quite a shallow role, but there are moments in which it really banks on micro expressions and non-verbal communications, non-verbal cues, and then it really plays on the heavy drama side of it. Like, for example, the payoff, like the most important scenes. It plays a lot on, you know, the typical SRK sort of action that we know now, which is the comedy, flirtatious, forward, somewhat awkward, somewhat funny, somewhat is stepping boundaries. Very interesting. I'd love to know what you guys thoughts about it. If this is, how many times have you watched this movie? If you rewatched it with us from Feature Friday Club members, thank you so much for sticking with us all the way. It truly means a ton, and we will be able to, thanks to your help and your support, we'll be able to do this more often.
That's
and
right.
goodbye.
Goodbye.